On this episode, Ray and I dive into Pete Hegseth's speech, the Secretary of War, as he has now decided to call the role, no longer the Secretary of Defense, and it makes perfectly good sense.
Do yourself a favor, take 45 minutes, find it on YouTube, and listen to it, because it'll put some things in perspective, to say the least, as far as what the country is going through and the state of what the country's been through over the last 25, 30 years.
It's a very moving speech that he gave. It'll create some perspective, and overall theme of this for Ray and I was common sense.
That also, because I don't think we should have fat soldiers. Well, it all depends, because I'm 300. You mean like a 5'6", 300.
Him dealing with things that are going on in the United States military, its approach to things that are going on, and the standards that they should be judged by.
Every general, every officer should be able to meet the height and weight requirements for their role throughout their entire military career. And if you can.
And Ray and I kind of take that into a societal aspect as well, where we start to realize that standards are lowered to meet success, and that is not the best way to do things.
Shooting down the idea of the toxic masculinity thing. And it's like, yeah, bro culture, but we're not talking about 20-year-old frat boys. We're talking about, if shit hit the fan as a dad, could you handle Europe? Mm-hmm. And when you're walking through a crowd, is your head on a swivel? Do you realize weak points? When you're walking down the street, do you let your wife walk with the traffic coming towards her, or do you put yourself right there? Do you see your kid in your peripheral, or do you not see your kid in your peripheral?
Things. It's a compelling speech. Ray and I go down a few different avenues. Overall theme is our reactions to what this speech brought about from an emotional standpoint for both of us. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment below, follow us on Spotify as well. Now, let's go.
This is the New Dad Order podcast, brought to you by Burns Estate Planning and Wealth Advisors. If you're in need of financial planning and or retirement advice, we have all their contact information in the description below. My name is Ray. We got Parfait over there.
How's it going, everybody? Ray, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Real quick before we get started, guys, Thursday. Thursday is the thing that I have relied on over the last 8 months to get me back into recovery and get a good night's sleep. It doesn't have melatonin. It has everything your body needs to get back to recovery, to get a good workout in. Use the promo code NDO to get a discounted checkout.
Earlier today, I heard for the first time our Secretary of Defense give a speech to the generals. Hegseth. It was a very interesting speech.
It was.
I'd like to.
You mentioned it to
that.
me, and you said, "Hey, did you see this?" And I said, "I did not." And you said, "You should." And so I took your advice, and on some window time on the ride home, I turned it on and I listened to it, and it was 45 minutes long that flew by. For me, it was.
Yeah,
it was. He's very articulate. I thought it was a very good speech, just from the information and perspective, regardless of strong agreement or disagreement. I think you could feel conviction in his voice. And I think that was a very powerful thing coming from someone that you could tell it was genuine thought. What about you? What was your takeaway from it? And if you're not familiar with the speech, do yourself a favor, take 45 minutes, find it on YouTube and listen to it, because it'll put some things in perspective, to say the least, as far as what the country is going through and the state of what the country's been through over the last 25, 30 years.
Correct. Yeah. I enjoyed it. There was a couple of spots I got questions on, but I enjoyed it overall. Mm-hmm. And when I knew it was going to be a good speech is when he walked from behind the podium and he walked out and started talking.
And it looked natural.
Very natural.
It didn't look scripted.
That's correct.
When guys come from behind the podium and you're like, oh, this is when I'm supposed to do this. This is when I'm supposed to do that. No.
Right. And he didn't stand behind the podium. I also like that, he's like, let me get a sip of my coffee. And he started going. And I don't know. I really enjoyed the speech overall.
Yeah. So overall, the speech was about, just to fill you in, if you haven't listened to it, or if you didn't catch any of it at all, it is about the state of the military and the requirements and the culture and the way things have evolved throughout the military over the last 25, 30 years, in the direction that it needs to go into in order to preserve our rights and freedoms and peace.
Yeah, I think particularly it was centered on personnel.
Yeah, and the way that the overall positions of personnel throughout the entire military, how people get into leadership roles, how people get into the bottom roles as well, and the expectations that we should have for those roles. But what was your biggest takeaway from this? Biggest agreement, biggest disagreement?
Well, there was a couple. There's a few for me. I liked initially renaming that department the War Department. I know he came in and he started, but when he came out and he broke down why we're called the War Department, really like that.
I did too. And at first I was like, all right, are we doing the thing where we want to call it something different just for the sake of calling it something different? And as I listened to it, I was like, the War Department makes sense because it's not defense. The reason the military is there is to fight wars. And that's what his message was at parts of it. It's not there to just defend because we don't really have wars on our soil. Killing other people of other countries and other cultures. It was pretty blunt.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I like that. I like the fact that he said, I don't want my kid next to a guy that's not capable, unfit. Well, he said basically fat.
Yes, he did not shy away from calling
right
from that aspect of it.
Cannot use weapons, etc. I like that also because I don't think we should have fat soldiers.
No, it's whenever I'm just out and about and in public and I see a police officer.
Oh,
that's 300 pounds.
Well, it all depends because I'm 300. I'm 300.
You're
right?
You're a different 300.
You mean like a 5'6",
yeah,
300. Yeah.
5'8", 300 pounds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not. He can't do his job properly. He can't.
That's correct.
And a soldier, a guy trained for war, should be held to a very, very strict requirement for physical capabilities. And he stated that this doesn't just pertain to the guys in the infantry, the soldiers on the ground. Every general, every officer should be able to meet the height and weight requirements for their role throughout their entire military career. And if you can't, thank you for your service and the time that you did, but it's time for you to move on.
Right.
And I think people have a hard time with, that's just, it's like, no. It's not that there's no concession. He's saying that there are requirements. We meet them and stop making excuses and lowering our standards. And I think that is a microcosm of our society.
Yeah. And going along with that, like we said, the War Department, being prepared, that's part of the preparation of being prepared for war, is you got to be fit because you never know when something's going to pop off. You've got to be ready. I mean, that's why, you look at the athletes in the world right now. Those guys are now I'm not just working out during football season and or basketball season and or soccer season. I'm working out year round.
Yeah.
I've got to be prepared at all times.
Take your days
Same
off,
concept.
but always know that the work is waiting around the corner.
Right.
Everything that you undo, you will have to redo. And I think, that professional athletes train in a different way nowadays. And oddly enough, it seems like, based off of what he was saying, our military is not training like that on a regular basis. Almost like professional athletes are taking their role a lot more serious than what the government is taking the role of the military and the requirements that they're holding people to.
Do you think it's because we're considered the best in the world, and so these generals
But who considers us the best? Us? Us?
Consider ourselves
so
the best.
We set the standard to call ourselves the best, which is one of the most arrogant things that there is, and it's complete dumb. I mean, there's not, we're the biggest military, we're the best military, we're the this, we're the that, we're the, okay, says you.
But yet we know, right? So there's a quote, right? And it made me think of this quote listening to his speech. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Have you heard that quote before?
I have, yes.
And there are a lot of people that feel that the World War II generation is almost gone. And that generation created good times, which created weak men, which I think we're in the current state of. I think we're in, and I say in, over, this has materialized over the last 20 years, that we have created a society of weak men. We use terms like toxic masculinity, right? So you're being penalized if you're over masculine. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to weaken. And I think people, it's okay to have a strong father figure. Like, it's okay to be a strong man. Yes, it is okay to be a strong woman. Like, I think it's so many qualifying statements that happen where it's like, well, women can be strong. No one said women can't.
Right.
But stop weakening the male role and discounting the necessary parts of it. Like, there is a reason that, like, people are shooting down the idea of the toxic masculinity thing. And it's like, yeah, bro culture, but we're not talking about 20-year-old frat boys. We're talking about, if shit hit the fan as a dad, could you handle your own?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're walking through a crowd, is your head on a swivel? Do you realize weak points? When you're walking down the street, do you let your wife walk with the traffic coming towards her, or do you put yourself right there? Do you see your kid in your peripheral, or do you not see your kid in your peripheral? Is your nose in a phone, or are you looking up and seeing what's around you? Are you wearing flip-flops when you're going in public, or are you wearing shoes in case you need to take care of yourself? It may sound like a little thing, but man, I'm fully aware of it. If I got to run or get somebody out of there, am I prepared to do that? Am I prepared to push somebody out the way? Am I prepared to throw a punch if need be?
Mm-hmm.
Am I ready to grab somebody? Can I handle my own? And I think about that on a daily basis, every single place that I go. Who's the threat? Who's the person where if something got sideways in this room right now, I would feel comfortable having my back because I know I'm not running.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assess that situation every time I walk into a room. This is not a conversation that I have with someone when I'll do it, but it is the way my brain is programmed right now as a man at 43 years old, and it didn't just happen overnight. But when I'm in a restaurant, I want the view to see I don't want people behind me that I can't see. If they're behind me, who's sitting behind me?
Mm-hmm.
Back to the wall.
Is it the guy with his nails painted?
Exits. Yep.
Right?
Right.
But if the guy's got his nails painted and he's 6'3" and jacked, yep, let's roll, dude. Right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want that dude back there.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's just a little kid sitting close to the exit of a restaurant. Never have my kid sitting close to the exit door of a restaurant.
No.
Why? Because there's psycho people out there and they'll spot the vulnerability. That's the kind of stuff that, like, is going on in my head on a constant basis. I don't know if are you like that at all?
I'm just laughing because, yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I'm in a doctor's office and I'm sitting this way. I'm like, I jumped around. We're sitting this way. What was wrong with that? Just roll with me. Just roll with me.
I do. So if I go into in fact, you say doctor's office. Today I went to the health clinic that I go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the clinic that I go to, I walked in there and there was one other guy sitting in there. And there were seats all around. And when I walked in, the seat that he was sitting in had a view of the door, had a view of the entrance door, had a view of the counter as well, and a view of the hallway. And that was where my instincts was that I needed to sit.
Right.
And that guy was sitting there. And I was like, all right, well, if he's sitting there, then my next spot is to sit to the front door
Mm-hmm.
as well and view the front door. And
Right.
so I went and I sat there in the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then another guy comes in. And whenever he walks into the clinic to sit down, he sits down in the most vulnerable seat there is. halfway to the door, can't see the hallway behind him, and I'm like, "He's a weak dude right here. I
Weak,
don't want this." And
you judge him, and it sucks to judge him, but you judge him automatically.
But I'm like, I got to get this dude's back because he's not ready to get mine.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, nothing's gonna happen, right? I'm in the safe little ritzy area of the North Shore in Louisiana. Nothing's gonna happen there, but it is the same approach that I take every single time. And when I walked through the door and I saw the guy sitting there, it was a dude that looked like he can handle his own. I'm like, he picked that seat because instinctually that's where he was supposed to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I go through the same checklist. I remember I had some slides or tennis shoes. I'm like, I'm just going to Dollar General. Tennis shoes. I'm just going to the Dollar General. Yeah. You don't put the slides on. The slides only go on when I go to practice or I go to the gym. And I'm done with the gym and I'm walking back to the car. I go through the same checklist. Yeah. It was
or the
great.
Slides are on if I'm by myself because I'll kick them off and I'll go barefoot. All right. Uh-huh. But if I'm with my family, it's not.
Oh yeah.
It's shoes.
Never.
It's shoes.
Always shoes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Always shoes.
Like you might think we're dumb for saying that. I don't know. If I had to do something, I wouldn't want to be in flip-flops doing it.
I think most manly men, think that way. Every time I see a guy walking with a girl and the girl is close to the street, I've stopped guys before. And I said, hey, step over here and push and have her in here. Just in case a car comes off the road, you're pushing her and she's good. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Come on.
But that's toxic masculinity, right?
You know, I think
equal rights. Let her get hit by the car.
Yeah, I think a year ago plus it was.
No, it's a part where it's not me saying that I've got to protect the weak and my wife is the weak. But my wife didn't get with me because she thought she had to protect me. You know, you want to be with someone that provides some type of security for you, right? So. And it doesn't always mean in the physical way. Like as a partner, as a spouse, you will have some type of security with that person that you're with. It may be a mental security. It may be an emotional security. It may be a physical, you know.
Yeah.
So I think those securities are what end up building a relationship with your spouse. I'm not saying it's my responsibility to make sure that I sit in the right spot, and my kid's right here, my wife's right there, and this person over here looks like they could do something. You know, like, I don't expect her to have those thoughts. But there are things that are in male DNA that just programs us to think certain ways.
Oh, yeah.
Just like there are things in a mother's DNA that, man, I didn't know my wife would be such a good mom. Yeah, because God made them. And that's what he is going to instill those things to protect hers when the protection is necessary in the way that they need to protect them.
Yeah. I'm like a mom is automatically going to jump in when their child screams out.
Yes.
They're automatically jumping in. Whereas I'm pretty sure you do this. What? What's going on?
Yeah.
Get up.
Yeah. Are we hurt?
Is there a cut? Yeah. Is there blood?
Yeah.
No? Then get up.
Yeah.
Versus mom will come. There's a reason why we're both different. So.
No. So his speech led a lot of these thoughts that we're having right now. As he's speaking, I'm listening to him, and my head is going in these directions. And I guess a little bit of a 180 here, but the things that I thought were fake in his speech, I thought they were outright fake. I thought that his acknowledgement of Trump was strictly to play to Trump's ego. Because I don't think that the military cares about the president on a whole.
No.
The military was here before, and they'll be here after. Yeah. And the role of the military and what he was talking about is way greater than him. So I thought that, and it's fine, I understand what he's doing. To me, that was the only part that sounded like a little bit of a politician and it was only like twice that he mentioned it. You know, he mentioned something about Trump and what and I think he's just saying that just
because he felt obligated to say that. And it had like no weight in the speech. I'm like, because everything else that he talked about and the standards being lowered, I think was the biggest part for me.
I didn't know that. I did not know that it happened.
What?
That they lowered the standards.
That they lowered the standards.
Yeah, did not know that had happened.
And so I started, I'm like, this is what, right? So DEI is that's the term that we hear so much nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And DEI, I don't know. It's such a weird, it's a weird phrase that is almost a punchline in every single time I've heard someone talk about it. Like I've never met a bleeding heart liberal that thought DEI was the be all end all to saving society for that viewpoint. Have you DEI is an offshoot of affirmative action, right? And then like it was kind of proven that affirmative action really wasn't this great thing. Like not that it wasn't a great thing, it didn't work the way that it first sought out to be.
Well, I think affirmative action
laid the ground.
Worked. Yeah, it worked at a time.
At a time, yes.
For a time.
Because
yes.
I think it was necessary to open the door, to force companies to open the door to their hiring practices. I think that was the main objective. Like, yes, there was a lot of, through the civil rights movement that affirmative action.
Because if you don't believe that there were biases out there,
then you're a moron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there were biases.
Yeah. I mean,
so there was a need for it.
Yes.
Is there a need today? Not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But the DEI stuff, I think that has gone above and beyond.
Yeah. So like affirmative action was to open the door to make it fair is the wrong word because it did not make it fair, but it was to open the door to make sure that opportunities were going to be given. Now, whether or not it was a fair opportunity or not, that's up for debate no matter what. But it was to force people to make sure that opportunities were given across the board. DEI took that a step further and said, well, now that the door is open, let's create the standards that allow people to be hired or force people to be hired to hit a quota. Almost. And he mentioned something about quotas in his speech.
Yeah, that's one of the things one of the two things I had a problem with. So he mentioned that, but what he went into, he said, we're not going to do it by race. I forget what else he said, but he said race versus saying by, we're going to do this thing by merit.
Yes.
But he described the things that, and I wasn't aligned with that thought process. I wasn't aligned with the verbiage there because coming from him is going to be taken, especially on the other side, it's going to be taken as he's racist. Versus if you think about it, if you're the CEO, if you're the guy coming out and doing this, you've got to be careful what you say and how you say it. And he was blunt going through it. It was consistent, right? It was consistent. But I think with those points, it should have been a little, I don't want to say vague, but get to the point versus try to describe what we don't want to do or what we've done and we're getting away from. Because now it puts into my head too now. So we've got black generals. So you're saying those black generals were DEI hires or promotions? And
no, well,
and they're probably not. But now we're putting that in people's heads.
But here's the thing: what if they were? And that's the big what if. So I know, and whataboutism is probably one of the biggest flaws in our entire freaking country and in society in general. But whataboutism is it's horrible. It is the thing that makes social decay, in my opinion. Because the argument of what about so-and-so and what about this is It's the what if. That's all it is. Well, what if? What if? What if? What if? What about? What about? What about? It has no substance. So, and I know I said that. What if he is telling the truth? I assume that this guy is connected enough to know that there were more than one hire that was given to meet a quota. He said toxic leadership is adhering to low standards, promoting to meet a quota. That is a quote from his speech right there. And I think what he's saying is that there are a lot of people that expect certain things because of age, race, gender, and we're getting away from that. So if you think that you lost the promotion because you're black or because you're a female, could you meet every standard along the way that now we are going to make sure that everyone can hit? And if you couldn't hit all those standards and you got a promotion because of race, ethnicity, gender in the past, it's not going to happen anymore. And I do think that happens a lot. And to provide fair opportunity, but how is it really fair in the end? Yes, no one wants racism. I'd like to think that one place that could get rid of racist, or not racist, but one place that should be able to get around racism should be the military.
I think for a while it was like that, especially when there was a bunch of stuff going on in the 60s and the 70s, because a lot of these guys were going out to Vietnam. They were fighting with each other, not fight. You know what I mean? They were fighting together out there and coming back. And sometimes they would separate because of what was going on, but a lot of times they were brothers.
Yeah,
they were brothers. So for me, and me coming up in a military background, my father being in the military for 20 plus years, didn't see a lot of that. Now, of course, in different areas where I was, you saw it out in the public. But when it came to like a military base, never felt that. Never felt that.
Yeah.
And he did mention that too. He did mention something about race and racism, and that is not what happens here with our military.
Yeah. No, he hit a lot of points. I think he hurt a lot of feelings in a way that a lot of people say, I don't care about those feelings. And I think it's okay. I think it was refreshing to hear bluntness, regardless of your viewpoint. He wasn't trying to, I didn't feel like he was trying to play to the crowd. He wasn't trying to play to the audience. And we don't get that very often.
No, and someone threw out something where they had all the generals just sitting there and they're not applauding. You know, when the president speaks and he says something, and everybody's
State of the Union just there,
right? Like everybody's out every other word. I liked the fact that it was a bunch of all those generals, and they weren't applauding after every. Probably there were some very good points, and especially for the Marines, were always leaned when it came to their officers. I think they were like probably mental clapping because I think they wanted to.
I think there was also a lot of self-reflection going on in that room as well.
I think so too.
I think a lot of people doing their own count in their head
Is he talking to
where
me?
do they fall at.
Yeah.
I think there was. It was probably an eye-opening experience for a lot of people, and a lot of names running through each person's head as they were listening to that, of people that they may think not qualified, or he ain't meeting the health standards, so we'll probably won't see him much longer, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think that, he mentioned the small things. Small things matter. We're getting rid of the beards. If you want to have a beard, join the special
forces. Yeah.
You're hair's gonna be cut short. This is gonna be, and it's just like, yeah.
But I did talk to some people. Well, my son, military, ex-military. They do have. There are people that can't shave because when they do shave, bumps.
Mm-hmm.
It gets pretty bad. I don't know. I don't have that issue. I don't think you have that issue.
No, I'm good.
Right? So there's some guys who get super rashes when they shave.
I mean,
so I don't know.
I mean, I think that's semantics. I think basically what he's saying is like we're gonna have we're getting back to the basics of what things were
and how they should be, and I like it. So this is my other point that I sort of didn't agree with him on, which could be a slippery slope. It's like an HR issue, and I think it's an HR issue. It could be an HR issue. When he was talking about the ability to bring grievances forward safely without retaliation, I know he was talking about small stuff. Oh, my NCO keeps getting on me about not shaving, or my uniform is, I wore the wrong fatigues, or this, that, or the other. Over and over and over, those types of grievances. I get that. The slippery slope that I'm scared of is that someone has an actual grievance, some SA that might happen. Getting punched by a drill instructor, sergeant, whatever it may be. Physically being abused, maybe a little further than necessary, which he is like, we got to get back to that a little bit, as a matter of fact. That's the slippery slope that I'm concerned about, is like we're getting away from all that. What exactly is all that? Because he didn't really define that, but he talked about some of the stuff, which is, from what I understand, you could throw something in a box and say, Sergeant did this. My shoelaces weren't right. Just stupid little stuff. And every one of those things would have to go. They went to the, what is it? The MO, the EO, and the military EO. And they would have to go and figure out what exactly happened. My concern is, what if it's an actual grievance? Is it going to be, it's one of these daily occurrences?
Or is the approach that he's talking about going to, is it to say, hey, stop being a whiny little bee, and we're not going to deal with this one every single day. So if you complain about things that sound like they're minor, they're going to get washed away. So stop complaining about those little things, and we'll listen a lot more whenever something does go that way. To get rid of the fake paperwork because so-and-so is being mean to me because I'm not in the right gear. So-and-so, this happened. He shoved me in a situation only because, I wasn't whatever. And I think that I think what he's saying is we need to make a hard turn. My interpretation, we make a hard turn back the other way to get rid of the things that are wasting people's times. And we will have a clearer understanding of major issues whenever they do arise, if we stop complaining about the little things that we know are not a big deal. So if we say that, yep, we're going to have free reign, I don't think that's we're going to have free reign. We do whatever, get back to hitting people or pushing them or bullying or whatever. But I think what he's saying is that expect this, expect more, expect it to be hard. And we're going to stop wasting time with the little things that we know are not a big deal. But I think they're forced to waste so much time with these little things that are not a big deal right now. So if you just say it, we're going to take a hard turn the other way, and we're going to go back to what it used to be. I don't think it'll ever get that way. I don't think it will. I don't think.
Is that how you heard it though? Is that how you heard it?
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, you can't. The slippery slope. I think we've already slid down a slippery slope by listening to so much, to broadening the scope of complaints, to broadening the scope of this. That the slope that you were talking about, we've already gone down it because of a different reason. And so we need to get back there and then start coming back down again. Like it's a slope, like the slope thing, it works in both ways.
Exactly. Yeah, it does.
And I think that the slope started once he mentioned it in the first Desert Storm to the Afghan war. And like, that's your slope. Once, and I'm not saying that it was slow, but like little things happen in the military to change it for good ways. The don't ask, don't tell policy. Like, yes, like that's fine. People shouldn't be like, And I think that, okay, let's layer on to that. And then let's layer on to this. And then we get to the point now where someone that I know that just retired after 20 plus years of military experience worked with someone who the government paid for their sex change and they were active military.
That's ridiculous.
That's your slope, right?
Yeah.
That's your slope. I think
that way. Yeah, that way.
Mm-hmm. And so we've already been down it. So you're saying that there's a slippery slope from an HR department? I'm like, well, where are we going to slip? Straight to hell?
No. If we have actual grievances, if there's
that's what I'm saying.
that,
but I think he wants to get rid of. He wants to discount the grievances that aren't legitimate. And you got to toughen up, Buttercup. You have to deal with some stuff. And that's what he said. I think that is the approach. Like that is the approach. It's the rub some dirt on it and let me know when you have a real issue.
I think maybe it's because of his approach. That whole 45 minutes, it was so abrupt that maybe it came across that way. It came across as saying not just the small stuff, but everything. We don't want to hear anything. We're going back to these old ways, and it's take it or leave it.
Ray, that's a very good point. And with that point, we're going to wrap things up on this one right here. We're going to make this a two-parter. And so we'll be back next week, and we'll talk more about some of these societal things that play into what he's saying, that his speech isn't just isolated to the military from the perspective that Ray and I watched it, that there are some things that we carry over into parenting as well as just into an everyday thing. And we touched on some of that stuff, and we'll touch on some of that again whenever we continue this conversation. It was a powerful speech. It was something that definitely resonated with both of us, and I think you should take the time to go listen to it. It was 45 minutes. Should create some perspective one way or the other. You may not agree with anything he said. You may agree with everything, or there may be certain points like Ray and I that felt strongly about, and things that we didn't necessarily agree with. But nonetheless, we thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment below. Let us know your feelings about the speech if you did watch it. And until next time, this is
New Dead Order.